Hello, everyone, and welcome back to We'll Be Alright podcast. I'm your host, Lisbet. Excuse my somewhat congested voice. Okay, I'm not getting sick. We're not manifesting that. I am just a little congestioned. Everything's gonna be fine. I'm really excited about this podcast episode because it literally just came to me today, and I was like, I have to talk about this because I need to talk to my friends about this because it needs to be out of my mind. So once again, today's podcast episode is not edited. It is raw. It is not scripted. It is just you and I vibing, having a conversation. And what's the podcast episode about today? It is about how in January of 2025 is going to be 5 years since I have been single and not in a serious relationship. And I don't know why when that hit me, I was like, wow, that is a long time. And it's not, and also this is not like I want a relationship, like I can't believe I've been single this long. It's like, I'm happy that I've been single this long. And we're going to chat about that. And we're going to chat about my experiences being single and not actively pursuing the dating life or wanting to be with someone. Because I think my approach to post breakup life, and even though it was 5 years ago, and the way that I thought and how much I've changed and grown, I'm so happy with the way that I handled that side of things and the way that the decisions I made along the way. So let's run it back to January of 2020. Let's not talk about 2020, but January of 2020, I broke up with my boyfriend at the time. And how old was I? I think I was like 21. I was a baby. And it was so difficult because I was working full time. I was in school full time. I thought this was someone that I was going to be with for a long time. And I was such a baby, like looking back at things. And when I first of all realized that that person wasn't my person and that I wasn't happy anymore, I was looking back, I'm like really proud of Lisbet for admitting that to herself at such a young age and being able to recognize that and not stay with someone longer. So 2020 was a hard year for a lot of us, and it was perfect timing in a way because we couldn't do anything most of 2020. So I basically hibernated from like 2020 to 2021. And the only people that I saw were like my immediate family members. And then obviously people like I worked with when I went to work, but that doesn't really, I didn't see, it's just work people, colleagues. But for the most part, I kind of hibernated. My best friend, Johnny, he was living in DR at the time because he was studying medicine there. So he wasn't someone that I can, all my friends, my closest friends weren't here close to me anymore at that moment. So I hibernated and I really discovered myself and lost myself. 2021 was one of my hardest years. I went through some pretty bad depression. I was so lost. Like you could have asked me like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? And I wouldn't have known the answer to that. It was just very strange place mentally to be at. And it was so interesting to looking back at that now and reflecting on that version of me, because I am so self-assured in a healthy way of who I am, and I have healthy boundaries, and I'm so confident in who I am most of the times. But that version of Lisbet was so broken and shattered. And I will admit, after the breakup, I was like, okay, let's go to dating apps, because I'd never been on dating apps at that point. I was like, what is dating apps? Let's do it. I don't recommend after a breakup doing that. And I want to apologize if this guy who went on a date with me after my breakup ever sees this ever. I am so sorry. That I hope you didn't have worse dates, but I also kind of hope you did have worse dates, because so sorry. That's a story for another day. But yeah, it was just not a good time. So then I hibernated and I took some time to myself and I started to get into journaling and manifestation and the universe, and I really started to center myself, ground myself, and really get to a comfortable spot with who I was and my authentic self. And I was able to be that person around my immediate family. So maybe like around strangers or new people, like I wasn't able to fully be myself, but around my family I was. And I started to become very self-aware of myself, of what and who I was. And I'm a very spiritual person, but it wasn't this, I was always this way, but I wasn't comfortable talking about it or comfortable being myself. So I started to realize this is who I am. And if people like me, they like me. And if they don't, they don't. And that's okay. Like, I'm not made for everyone and everyone isn't made for me. But getting to that place took years. Started therapy during that time. And life was pretty good for the most part. Again, 2021 was a really, really, really hard year for me mentally. And then come 2022, end of 2021, I quit my job that I had been at. Then 2021, I got a new job. Like I applied and I got a new job. It was such a crazy story, which is maybe a story for another day, more of like my career journey. And then I had to move to a new city, a city that I knew no one. I had never been to. My sister and I visited like a month before I was supposed to move there because I had to find an apartment, but I never been there. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any friends there. And suddenly I was like so lost again. In 2022, I call it like survival year because it was just like survival of the fittest. I was just go, 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 go. I didn't really stop to think of my emotions or what I was doing or what I wasn't doing or like I was just like doing stuff. I was like, okay, what's the next thing I have to do to survive? So I was like, okay, I gotta get my apartment. I gotta get a car. I gotta get my insurance. I gotta get like, it was just a lot of new stuff and like a new role, a new job, a new company, a new team and management, like all this stuff. It was so crazy that I didn't really have time to like reflect. And then 2023 or 2022 was hard for like health reasons. 2023 kind of got a little bit worse. And this is all to say that when in 2022 or end of 2021, I started to like find myself, that immediately shifted because I was like uprooted to a new place. So I didn't feel like this was like a place that I was like, okay, I'm going to find my person or settle. Like, and I did try to dibble dabble in dating, nothing too serious. I think I went on one date while I was there or two, and it never like went anywhere. It was just something in me was again more of there's still so much that I want to heal from. And I'm not sitting here saying that you have to heal everything from yourself before you find your person or whatever. But I was just a believer and when it's meant to be, it will be. And I'm not going to push things. And because whenever I did try to push things, it just never ended well for me. So I kind of stepped back and I was just really focused on being the best version of myself that I could be for me. 2023 came and it was also an extremely hard year for me. I was moving, like flying, traveling back and forth between my two cities, and there wasn't a place that I called home because Miami wasn't home, and then the new city that I was in wasn't home either. And I remember there was a therapist that I was talking to at the time, and he goes, "You like don't have a place right now, and it's hard for you to imagine yourself or see yourself or like have routines because you're immediately flying somewhere like the next week to escape." And then I tried to do more of like roots in the city that I was living in, but I was not in a great place mentally, physically, or emotionally. And it felt like no matter how much I tried, life did not want me to settle there. And it's so funny because I just saw this quote that said, something along the lines of the universe will never allow peace to come to you in a place that it doesn't want you to settle in. What? And the same applies to a relationship. Like the universe will never allow you to find peace with that person if that person's not someone that you're supposed to settle with. But it was like, that is how it felt. It felt like the universe just was sort of putting me in this situation where it forced me to face a lot of my fears, and it forced me to have to ask for help, ask for advice, tell people I'm not doing okay, and be honest with myself. Be honest, Victoria Beckham. And it was very difficult for me because I'm not that person. I'm not the person that asks for help. I'm not the person that admits that she's not doing well. Like I faked it for so long of like, I'm doing fine. Like everything's fine. Everything's great. Like I love this city. I'm so excited. But I got pretty sick. And then come January of this year, 2024, I ended up moving back to Miami. I'm still in the same company, and I'm very grateful for that to have worked out. So come back to Miami 2024. My best friend, Johnny, who had moved to DR, had also moved back. He was having a baby. Like so many things were happening. And I was so excited to be close to family and friends again, which is something that I think I needed. I had spent so many years in isolation from everyone that I felt like I was finally ready to have people back in my life. I didn't feel ready for that for a long time because I was just, I had so many emotions and so many thoughts going on in my head that I felt like I was too much for other people and I needed to figure that shit out. So when 2024 came, I really wanted this year to be the year that I figured my shit out. So my health. And the beginning of 2024 was extremely, extremely difficult. I barely went out at the beginning of 2024, did anything. Like I didn't have the energy to do anything or want to do anything. And then my mom and my sister sort of like had this like wake up call for me. Like, you need to realize that life is short and you need to do things. You need to go out. You need to meet people. You need to like, be like a 24-year-old. I'm 25 now, but at the beginning of the year I was 24. So I really started to focus again on my health because I had really let that part of me go for many different reasons. So I found workouts that I enjoyed again. I started eating better. I started going back to therapy. I journaled. I worked on my trauma, on like triggers that I still had. And I really, really just wanted to be at peace with myself. And it wasn't like I wanted to change myself, which is weird because that's like what I had done the couple years prior. I just wanted to love myself and accept myself. And I knew that along the way I was going to make mistakes still because we're human. And I wanted to like learn to not beat myself up so much for those mistakes and realize that everything truly does happen for a reason, and to just let things go and not take things so serious all the time because it's not worth it. So I really wanted to get to a place where I was comfortable in my skin, where I was happy with who I was, and I want to say I proudly did that. I think this is the most me that I have been. And it's not just the most me that I have been with myself, but it's the most me that I have been with other people as well. I started to go to some studios for workout classes and face my anxiety and face a lot of things that were going on in my head that were not allowing me to be a normal 24, 25-year-old. And it's crazy to say that because I'm 25 and just now, maybe it's my frontal lobe that it's developed, but just now I feel very centered in who I am and in the most genuine way. Like, I don't feel as if I have to be this person or act this way or say these things to be liked. I'm just me, and I'm happy with that. Yesterday I went to this picnic thing and reflecting back on that, like how I was in that environment, it feels like the most me that I've ever been around like new groups of people. And it feels really good to be able to realize how far I have come from that girl that I was 5 years ago who was so lost, wouldn't know her favorite color, to the girl now that her favorite color is pink and literally has pink leggings, a pink cable for her microphone, a pink water bottle, a pink case for her retainers. Like, she's really embraced her most authentic self, and it's taken years to develop that, which is something I want to keep on highlighting, is that this did not happen overnight. It has taken years, months, days of hard work and failure to get to this point. But it's also been one of the most rewarding journeys and hardest, but rewarding journeys to be able to see myself get to this point. And yesterday I had someone ask me like, oh, we're talking about working out. It's like, what are your like fitness goals? And as someone that has struggled with body dysmorphia and eating disorders and then got diagnosed with PCOS this year, just recently, sorry, I seem to be a little, I just have a little allergies. We're going to call it that. When he asked me that question, I genuinely said, this is the most fit and happy I've been with myself. And I've gotten to this point in a healthy way. Like, I've done workouts I enjoy. I haven't limited or done any diets. I have truly been so kind to my body, which I haven't been ever in my life, this kind. And it's been so intentional. And I've done it in such a slow pace, and it's brought me so much peace to see myself now and like love this body, but not hate it, because I'm not thinking, man, okay, I got to this weight, but I did an extreme diet. I worked out 6 times per week. I like all these crazy shit that I would have done before. No, I did it in such a healthy way. And genuinely being able to say like, this is the most fit I've been and the happiest I've been, made me feel so good. So like, my goal for next year is more like toning and just maintaining and just continuing to learn about my body and about what she likes and what she needs, and figuring out that through trial and error, and continuing to move my body in ways that I enjoy, and to continuing to put myself in uncomfortable situations and meet new people and just have fun with my workouts. So yesterday was a really big day for me, because it was the first time that I think the universe reflected on me how much growth I've had. And I think that's why today, when I was thinking back and I'm like, oh my God, in January, it's going to be 5 years I've been single. It feels like the best time. Like, I have not hated I've loved being single, because it's allowed me time to figure out my shit and to figure out who I am without having to like think of other people's emotions or other people's stuff in it. Not to say I haven't had crushes during that time, because I have, because we're human. But there's not been anything that's been like long-term or serious. And then I've also learned when to get out of situations that I know is not an environment that I want to be in, and someone that isn't going to respect this version of myself that I have worked so hard to become. Learning my self-worth and then demanding respect for that in a respectful way, but demanding respect for that person, for me, has been hard and rewarding. And I have failed at times. But ultimately, I have gotten to a place where I am able to walk away from situations that no longer serve me, because I know that there is something way better out there for me that the universe has planned. And learning to let go of control over certain people, over certain situations, is one of the hardest and best things I have learned and forced myself to like really understand and respect the universe, from taking people from my life or putting me in certain situations. And while maybe I'm frustrated about the circumstances of that moment, being able to take a step back and be like, okay, everything happens for a reason. I just need to let things flow. And learning to flow with the universe as a type A person is very difficult. But once you get to a place where you realize that things that are meant to happen will happen, and there's nothing that you can do about it, there's a lot of peace that comes with that. Like, if you're meant to meet that person, you will. If you're meant to travel to that city, you will. If you're meant to get that job, you will. If you're meant to marry that person, you are. And then if you're not meant to be with that person, the universe won't let you find peace. And it won't be easy. And you won't be with that person and you won't get that job. But rejection is redirection. I have lived by that since 2020. Rejection is rejection. Every time I got rejected from a job, every time something that I go about, I'm like, rejection is rejection. And every time I'm redirected, it is 10 times better than I could have expected. Because the dreams and aspirations that we have for ourselves, while they're amazing and you should have them, sometimes we think so small. And the universe is like, think big, think bigger. And then they give you something that you didn't even expect and could have even imagined. And it was 10 times better than anything that you had planned for yourself. But to get and to give you that bigger thing, bigger piece of the cake, they had to maybe take away a job or a person. So I was like, no. And while you might be sad that, oh my God, I thought he was the one. I can't believe it. But then a couple months pass and then you actually meet the person that truly sees you for who you are and accepts you and adores you. And suddenly you realize, oh my God, that guy was like never going to give me that. I was settling. And then the universe is like, yeah, I know, girl. It's beautiful. It really, really is. A couple of things I've also learned has been, don't settle because you're lonely, because you will get lonely, especially if you decide to be intentional about who you date. And you're not dating just to date, you're dating for a long-term partner or for marriage, but you're not dating to just casually be with people. It will get lonely. I'm not gonna lie to you, it will. And it is a decision you have to make to be at peace with your loneliness and find comfort in that, in being in silence and having to figure out how to love that peace and your atmosphere alone and not with surrounded by people. So don't settle because you're lonely, because it's not going to work out. I'm just going to tell you. The universe is not going to allow you to do that, and it's just going to be a roller coaster ride of hell. Um Healing is not linear. So while today might be a really good day or a good month or a good year, maybe next year other shit happens. Healing isn't linear. It is a very like roller coaster ride. And that's how I explain it. Like you're gonna have moments where you're gonna be at the peak and then you're gonna drop and then you're gonna have a loop and then you're gonna have another peak. And it's like once you learn to be comfortable with that, with understanding that life is lifing and just because maybe something goes wrong a couple months from now, it doesn't mean that you're starting back from square one of your healing journey. I think that's been something so big for me. It really is like the best way for me to explain it, it's like blocks. So maybe you get to this new block in your healing journey and you fail or something doesn't go right. The block doesn't fall. It's cement. It's think of like the pyramids. Like they're there forever, right? So now you're not starting from ground zero. You're just you have to build this block again, and maybe just you need to do the structure a little bit differently than you had done it in other blocks in the past. So once you learn that having a bad month or a bad year doesn't mean that you start again from zero, it just means that there is more that the universe wants you to figure out. There's a lot of you'll find a lot of comfort in that, in knowing that you haven't failed anyone or anything. There's just something new for you to learn. And once you take that as a learning experience and you don't beat yourself up so much about failing or about, doing something that an old past version of you would have done, and you just find peace with like, okay, that situation happened. I didn't feel great about it. Why didn't I feel great about it? How can I do things differently for the next time? And you have this inter-reflection with yourself, but from a really kind and gentle place. That is so lovely. And if you can't have that conversation with yourself from yourself, think of it as if you're having from someone that you care about a lot, like a best friend or your sister or a sibling or whatever, they come to you for advice. You wouldn't be as mean to them as we tend to be with ourselves. You would be more compassionate. So have that same compassion that you do for people in your life that you care about with yourself. And it is so beautiful to allow yourself to be kind to yourself. And I had a manager of mine who I wasn't super kind to myself. And she did this exercise with me and said, okay, what if it was your sister that was going through this? What would you say to her? And I was 10 times kinder to my sister in this imagination situation that she would put me in than I was to myself. So she would have me continue to do that for months to come of like, okay, pretend it's your sister and not you. So that was my stepping stone to being kinder to myself. And now I can do it without having to think of it that's my sister. I can think of it as myself. And another thing that you should think about is like a lot of us are just like inner childs, right? So it's like an inner baby you that logically you can try and explain something to that child, but they don't grasp some of the words that you're saying because they don't know what they mean, right? So sometimes you just need to be a little bit slower with that person and speak in their language. So figure out what language it is that you need at that moment for that situation that you're going through. The amount of time that it takes for you to heal is different for everyone, right? So for me, it's not that I've been healing from that relationship for 5 years. It's been that I've been healing from years and years of stuff that has happened, that relationship kind of unfolded and forced me to have to face myself. And it's difficult and it's hard and that takes time. And no one should tell you, oh, you should be in a relationship by now, or you should be dating someone. Like, no, everyone's life is different and the decisions that we make are different, and where we want to be in the future is also different. And that's totally fair and okay and fine. So don't feel pressured from peers or social media to think that you have to be in a certain path at a certain time, because it just doesn't work that way. An example I'll give you is like at the same time that I moved to the new city that I was living in 2 years ago, my best friend had moved to a new city. And like within a month of living in that city, he met his now girlfriend who he's been with for like a year and a half or 2 years or whatnot. Right. And I was like, cool, that's his journey. But that wasn't my journey. Right. And there's no shame in that. You're just in a different path than that person. So don't compare yourself to other. Comparison is a thief of joy. That's another one I love to think about is you have no idea what the story or the journey of that person is, and yours is different. So don't compare yourself to others because it's never going to be apples to apples, you know? It's your life. You can do whatever you want with your life, you know? You can decide if you want to be in that relationship or not. You can decide if you want to live in that city or not. You can decide if you want to be in that job or not. Like, it's your life. And there's no one that is forcing you to do any of those things. And I think that's another thing. Once you become an adult, you realize, oh, I don't have to talk to that person if I don't want to anymore. There's no one forcing me to be in that environment or to be in that situation anymore. Like, I truly am in control of my life. And while that's scary sometimes, because you realize you can cut people off, especially if they're not, bringing anything to you and they're just making you feel bad, it is scary. And sometimes it's hard, especially if maybe it's a friendship that you've been with for 20 years, right? It's like, well, we've known each other since we were 5. So it'll be difficult, but realizing that it's your life and you decide if you want things to change, and the only way that things change is for you to change patterns and change the way that you think and decisions that you make. And that starts today, to be honest with you. Like, if you want to be in a different place at this point in November of 2025, you need to start doing things differently than you are now. Like, you can't expect to be running a marathon next year if you're not training to run a marathon. So those decisions are important. And that's why I love to sit down in this time of year and reflect on what I loved that happened this year and what I'm proud of and maybe what I'm not proud of, and have goals and aspirations for myself that I want to accomplish next year and start doing that now. Like, you don't have to wait till January of 2025 to start your New Year's resolutions. You can do that whenever you want. And I love starting that before 2025 or like the new year, because I'm like, I'm getting a head start of things. And I can enter 2025 already acting and doing things differently and in a healthier pattern. So it's your life. It's okay to not be okay. That's fine. Do you have any days and weeks and months that haven't been okay? And I'm just like, okay, I'm not okay right now. That's okay. Sometimes you just need to hibernate, right? And I don't know how much time you're going to need, because it depends on like trauma and your body and your mind. So it's okay to not be okay. As long as you have a game plan to help yourself get out of it, though, because you don't want to be there forever. The universe wants you to be happy ultimately. Like, that's the biggest thing, is the universe just wants you to be happy. And you have to have like a North Star or something that makes you excited or makes you happy to want to wake up and do things differently and work on yourself, So while for a short period of time it's okay to not be okay, also know that you deserve to be happy. And never forget that. And if you have to have 10,000 post-it notes around your room, paint it somewhere, I don't know, it's the universe just wants you to be happy. That's all it wants. And you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be appreciated. You deserve to be adored exactly as you are, for your quirks and your, all the stuff that comes with you. And then, most importantly, you need to learn to love yourself. And no one can give you that. And no one can teach you how to love yourself, because everyone loves themselves differently. And someone else cannot do that for you. people can only love you as deeply as you love yourself. So if you don't love yourself a whole lot and you're really mean to yourself, guess what? You're going to accept that from someone. And that's not cool, because I know that's not what you deserve or what you truly want. So for me, that was one of my biggest things, is I didn't love myself for a very, very, very long time. And I didn't know how to. And I had to work on figuring that out and setting boundaries with myself and other people, and realizing that the treatment that I was getting wasn't what I was giving other people. So why was I accepting the bare minimum when I wasn't giving the bare minimum? And it takes a lot of years, at least for me, to find myself and demand that respect. And I can say that this year is the first year that I'm like, I really love who I am. And I work really hard every day so I can be proud of who I am. And there's days that I fail, and there's days that I do things that I'm like, ugh, that wasn't nice, Lisbet. But we learn and we evolve and we grow. So I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm saying that the kind of love that I wear on my sleeve and will openly give to someone that I truly care about was not the love that I was receiving. And I was being okay with that. I was being okay with someone giving me 20% when I was giving 100. But not anymore. If you're not giving me the 100 that I'm giving to you as well, I'm sorry, it's just not going to work out. And learning to walk away from that, from those people, from those situations, from those things, takes time and is hard. And now it's kind of like second nature to me, and I don't take it personal. I'm just like, that person was not for me. They're meant for someone else. So why am I going to hold this person? And why are they going to hold me when other people are meant for us? You know? So I've learned to not hold things so tightly and to just let things flow, and realize that, again, whatever is meant to be will simply be. And there's nothing that you can do to stop that or to make things go differently or be differently than they are. All you can do is try and be the best version of yourself that you can be. Give yourself the most love that you can give yourself. Be your most authentic self. Be happy. Genuinely happy. Live a life that you love. And work on continuing to build that life that you want. And then allowing the universe to bring the right people at the right time to you. And be a good fucking person. It truly, while it might seem like that's so simple, as that it really is that simple. Like, there's no secret formula to things. And again, this is just what I've learned being 5 years single. And I encourage you to see other people's journey and other people's paths, because you might pick up certain things from what I'm saying, and you might pick up certain things from what other people are saying, and then compile that together and find something that helps you in the next stages of your life that you're working towards. So I encourage you to start this journey of figuring out who you are. And it's not going to be easy, because I can sit here and say that it's easy. It's not. It's really hard. It's one of the hardest things you're probably going to have to do. And it's one of the most rewarding. And you deserve that for yourself. You deserve to give yourself that love, that appreciation, that time, and that dedication that you so willingly give to other people. You deserve to give that to yourself, however much time you need to do that. So I hope this episode was helpful or interesting or fun. I don't even know what I said, most of it, because I have to listen back to it, because again, I just talk with you guys. But That's what I've learned. That's been my journey of 5 years single. And I can wholeheartedly say I really, really am proud of myself. And I love myself. And I am so excited for what the future will hold. Because I know it's going to be amazing. Because we are amazing. I'm amazing. And we deserve the fucking world. And we're going to get that. This was really fun. I keep saying, like, this is my favorite episode that I've done, but this truly has been something I think I needed to have this reflection moment. So thank you for allowing myself to word vomit to you. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you for dealing with my allergies, because I am not sick of allergies. And I hope that I'll see you in the next episode. And please, I would love to chat with you, or, learn more about you. Or if you have anything that you're curious about in particular, of anything that I said, or the way that I think, or the way that I see life, let me know. I'm pretty much an open book when it comes to those things that I believe in. And I love talking about that. So I'm happy to. And this was so much fun. All right. I will see you guys on the next one. Adios. Bye bye.